Hey kids, you like pro wrestling? We like pro wrestling too. This week in the news, WrestleMania for 2027 is announced, at least one of them. The lazy river of wrestling criticism, AJ Lee, has returned to WWE. And for Vader Club, yeah, you guys talk party match, and you guys talk Wrestlepalooza. But I got a party match from Wrestlepalooza 1995. Two Cold Scorpio, Dean Malenko and Cactus Jack versus the Steiner brothers and Eddie Guerrero from ECW's Wrestlepalooza 1995. I am Jeff Hawkins. He is Chris Novembrino. We sometimes delve into music, so I will say rest in peace to Supertramp's Rick Davies, passing away at the age of 81. Supertramp, one of those bands where, much like Steely Dan in my listening, you realize you like so many songs of theirs that you become a fan. And also, I didn't realize this song was by Supertramp because they actually had two lead singers, Rick Davies being the one behind Goodbye Stranger and Bloody Well Right. Roger Hodgson, the more famous, I would guess, of them, he was the one who did lead on like Dreamer and Take the Long Way Home and all those other ones. Also one of those bands that never really got a reunion run. While they were existing within our lifetimes, Roger Hodgson, much like Peter Cetera, once with Chicago, once he left Supertramp, you weren't getting that band back together. I think the answer to most of your questions is money. Never asked this of Chris because it's never come up. Are you a Supertramp? I won't say fan because that's probably
no.
strong.
I would say I'm like fan. I think is a strong word with this band, but they're like kind of a band that put out a bunch of songs, and you probably have at least one Supertramp. What's it? The Obvious song or whatever, or what's the name of that one?
The Logical song.
Logical song, yeah. So yeah, the Logical song, right? Like that one's got like one of those melodies that get stuck in your head, or you might have that melody in your head and not realize what song it is, and it drives you absolutely crazy for a day and a half. Mm-hmm. Like they wrote a bunch of those.
Earworm songs is what we call those. Yeah, Breakfast in America is good.
Yeah, or like earworm songs, but also like those songs that they don't quite have the salience that you immediately recall them, and so they drive you a little crazy while you're trying to get that earworm out of your head.
And then you sometimes mix them up with the remakes, like who was it that did Give a Little Bit that became a hit? I think it was
that's Supertramp too?
That's Supertramp. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Okay, cool. I have educated Chris on a little bit of music. I'm very happy.
It's like I know a bunch of their songs. It's just like they have a lot of songs. They really do. I mean, you think about it. There are bands that are much better known and even considered to be more classic that don't have anywhere near the success.
The Goo Goo Dolls did a remake of it. That's who I was trying to think of, and it became, I think, a #1 hit because Johnny Resnick doesn't sound exactly like Roger Hodgson, but Give a Little Bit.
But like also women of a certain age just couldn't get enough of Johnny Resnick at a certain point.
Yes, that's also very, very true.
Right? Yeah, like he could have recorded friggin' anything in a certain year, like 1999. I think Johnny Resnick could have recorded Shortening Bread and put it out to the delight of Brian Wilson.
Yes, Brian Wilson.
Yeah, the demo here is Brian Wilson and middle-aged women.
It's become a running joke with a guy I follow from Chicago who does wrestling for commentary for somebody. He's like, yes, but have you heard their version of Shortening Bread? I am more Roger Hodgson, but I do love Goodbye Stranger. I think that's such a fun little song. I'm a Long Way Home is probably my favorite Supertramp song. There's a weird clarinet interlude in the middle of that song. It was
my reaction the first time I heard Breakfast in America, and I'm driving around stoned with all of my friends in the middle of the night at like 16.
Take a look at my girlfriend.
Yes, no, like we have classic rock radio on, And we're teenagers, so most of this stuff is all within the normal realm of things you might expect on a Stoner Joyride. You know what I mean? Like
yes.
Skinner, that sort of stuff. Then all of a sudden, this song comes on, and all of us are like looking at this, like, what the hell is this song? Like, what
Baba
is this?
Ganoush. Wait, what the hell's Baba Ganoush?
Right. Like, but this is what's on the radio right now, right, boys? Like, no, it's definitely one of those like, wait, this is happening right now as you're hearing this clarinet solo on classic rock radio. I mean,
yes.
It's
like the first time you hear taller traffic and the flute in the middle of a song. You're like, this flute doing in the middle of this song?
Yes, it was just so far afield, and I was the right age to truly be blindsided by that event happening.
I think I was the same way with the first time I heard Bloody Well Right by Supertramp, because Davies does the lead for that, and he's like singing like kind of an American, like, right, you're bloody well right, you got a bloody right to say, you know, that kind of song. You're like, what the hell happened to everybody's accents in this song? Okay, cool, yeah. We'll be listening to a little Supertramp tonight. That'll be fun. So the news, yes. In a classic case of not reading the room, and I don't know if WWE announced this or it got leaked first, but WWE eventually copped this. On September 11th, 2025, Mania in 2027 will be in Saudi Arabia because they paid $100 million for it. Meltzer saying that there's a possible second WrestleMania that year that fans will be able to travel to.
Okay.
I know.
Boy, confidence and hope springs eternal today.
No, here's the one that got me. It's like they have an.
This is a very stable region. Everything's going well.
Although it's still possibly cheaper than Vegas at this point, but
well, that's a whole different thing.
Oh, I know,
look,
man.
Regional
Las Vegas
stability in Vegas.
but it's like, but Dave talking to Brian today about this, and I'm listening. And he's like, well, all the stars, and I'm just like, what? And see, my thinking is that old brain, 1985, 86, going, who is there to poach possibly for stars for this show? And then you think, oh, it's gonna be all like the 64-year-old Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. Maybe Kurt Angle comes out to break his neck for a match.
Gives you a tag match and like an 8-man match.
Yes. Oh my God, they're definitely gonna have like the All-Star. They're gonna have a $500,000 8-man tag like AEW, and then all the AEW fans, they're stealing our gimmick.
This is stupid when WWE does it, but when our side does it, it's good and smart.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but he goes, all the stars, anybody they want will be available. I go, well, I seem to recall that first Royal Rumble, they wanted Yokozuna, and Yokozuna had been dead for a couple years, so I don't think they're going to get him. I think Hogan's going to be unavailable. Ric Flair will come out of retirement for a match for the right amount of money.
What's Randy Hogan up to?
Randy Hogan. Oh, Dave Hogan, the Equalizer from WCW. He'll come out and do shtick. Evad Sullivan. Yes. I don't know if I want to ask you for thoughts because I don't really have any deep ones here, but they did also bring up that this is to celebrate the anniversary of the nation, and also we're using UFC to celebrate the anniversary of our nation. So TKO, vastly intertwined in the patriotic fibers of two different countries, which is something, but I don't know.
Look, the mind.
Do you think we're going to get like random like this is awesome chants from?
I mean, finally, a place where Rob Van Dam could go and be certain that he will get booed by a decent chunk of the audience at this point.
You sure about that? He might end up in the clink for smoking weed or something. So.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, I'm sure he can find a house eventually. Might be out in a remote part of Colorado. But look, the mind reels a little bit with this continued association with Saudi Arabia, just because I don't know when. I cannot see the future. In fact, I was having a discussion with my delightful partner not that long ago that if you could actually see the future with certitude, you probably wouldn't be able to change it. So I don't know the future, Jeff. That's okay. But I have just the darndest feeling that a sustaining long-term relationship with Saudi Arabia, never mind ever tightening it, over the next 5 to 10 years lacks a certain level of geostrategic prudence that I think will be made manifest in time. If not this week, if not next week, if not next month, eventually. And WWE, if and TKO and all of them, if they were smart, they would get out while you're ahead. It's been a great run. You managed to survive an already political, tumultuous run with this contract. Take the money and run, baby. I just sold my stock in a company this week at a year high, and then it dropped off. Sometimes you got to know when you're winning.
By the way, don't invest in Open, kids. It's a fraud, in my opinion. But
all the economy's propped up by the Magnificent Seven right now, Jeff.
Yes, I know. I have my money in some of them. Sad news. I don't know if you know this person. You might, because you did go to a few Evolve shows when we were in Dallas and whatnot. But Jaka, who was most famously in Catch Point with Tracy Williams and Drew Gulak and Matt Riddle, later Fred Yehi, passing away at the age of 39 of a heart attack. Really good friends with Mike Santana.
Saw him in a match. Yeah, like that name does ring a bell. Like,
I forgot. No, Fred Yehi is the guy who goes, yow, but I think Jockey yelled something else. I can't remember it offhand.
I was a bit of a hype machine that year when we were at Mania. Like it was worthy of it. It was just he was definitely like one of those ones that among us journos was like, oh, check out Fred Yehi. He might break through.
Yeah, but Jaka was there too, and a little bit undersized. He looked like a little Haku almost, is how I would explain it. I liked Catch Point as a gimmick. I thought it was fun, much like I liked Ring Comp with Walter and Timothy Thatcher and others like that later eventually made its way as Imperium in the WWE for you kids. That was kind of a fun time in the indies. The people who take the match seriously type of things. But yeah, no, 39, too young to die of a heart attack. But Mike Santana wrote some very, very nice things about him online. Seek them out if you can. Bryan Danielson officially announced as part of the Dynamite commentary team until further notice, replacing Tony Schiavone, who will still be doing Collision and doing some interview segments on Dynamite. This was in part to his performance in the UK. I will say this. The reason why he did so well in the UK is he was working with Schiavone and Excalibur, and now he's working with Excalibur and Taz. Taz is on his Okada Nakamura run. That's all I'm going to say. I am so done listening to Taz on commentary at times. I respect the hell out of the man. He's funny in moments. I just need him to be locked into matches a little bit more.
It's such an obvious net negative. And like when we talk about a consistent problem with the AEW world and the AEW world building, so much of that failure to construct comes from commentary, many times seemingly busier playing grab ass with each other than calling the match, let alone telling the correct story for what is occurring in the ring. Then you get times where Excalibur engages in interesting and creative fictions. He tells a story that was not booked.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Taz and others are like, something Jones. Hey, Jones over there. Jonesy Jones over there.
Oh, it was on full display in that Philly street fight match
They even like feed him into saying Jones stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, all right, don't call the match Jones. That's so good, Taz. You're so funny. It's good when you do it, but if they did this on WWE, it would be stupid and bad. I am consistent.
I am a mixed review Bryan Danielson on commentary guy.
It's like he could get there.
He could get there. I think there's a little bit too cheekiness with him at times. And I also just kind of think it's kind of weird because it's like he's locked in for what he wants to be locked in with. But at the same time, it's almost like he doesn't have a strong enough take on what's going on. Like he's describing moves to me, but he's not giving me a story per se. He's being very technical about what's going on in the ring, and I don't mind that. But it's like, okay, why did he choose to do this right now? And it's like, I know you can tell me that story.
There should be a general slant in energy to the commentators.
That's the other thing. Is he never gets he never
there's
like
no
modulates.
Commitment.
He never modulates.
Yeah, there's no commitment. I'm not saying that, it needs to necessarily go as extreme as like the most iron-handed days of Vince McMahon, where you have Cole and like King.
No,
right?
No.
Yeah, right. But there's a happy medium, and Shivani's worked in some of those booths back in WCW, where you have a Larry Zbyszko who, if not a full-on heel, has an appreciation for the dastardly side of things and sees it as a means to it. Bobby the Brain Heenan, a Mike Tenay, people who prefer more upright and honorable things and clearly place a premium on the honor without it being so over the top this way and that way. You essentially get your baby face and heel dynamic established, or people with, let's say, baby face values and heel values. Not that they can't ever potentially be moved on in a given moment, but someone like a Mike Tenay or Tony Schiavone who places a premium on honor versus somebody like Larry Zbyszko or Bobby Heenan who places a premium on winning.
Yeah, it's interesting. Those are the teams you went with, but I realize those are the teams that you grew up on for the most part. So that's cool. I think you brought up a good point for me. Yeah, Bryan Danielson sounds like a Ring of Honor commentator, and I don't mean that in the most best light. Let's put it that way. But I don't mean that in a negative light either. Like I don't need necessarily the Ross Schiavone team from 1987 that was just always screaming stuff. And I always liked. I think my favorite thing within the UK show commentary. Well, Schiavone had kind of backed off doing play-by-play and was just kind of watching as a fan. He's kind of doing that David Crockett shtick of thinking everything's kind of awesome and putting it over. And I kind of liked that. I'm going to give it a chance. I'm not going to totally dismiss it. I think I'd like to see Danielson put Taz in check a little bit more. Because I think when Taz gets on a thing, Excalibur joins him, and it's kind of like one of those things where the class cut-ups ends up getting the rest of the class going type of a thing.
Yeah, now that Excalibur's soul has been corrupted, there is no hope, Jeff.
He's eating cheese at the desk.
Yeah, no, he remember years ago when he came in trying to be a serious announcer, and we were like, dude, just take off the damn mask and like do it. And he just like would never just take off the mask, as though that beautiful mask. Oh, it's a lovely lucha design too. As though that prestigious and beautiful mask was really a thing that we were thinking about a lot while he was talking on a microphone and never seen on camera but twice a show.
I'll defend the mask because I once talked to him without the mask, not realizing who it was. And I'm like, dude, you never had to get bothered by wrestling fans. You're awesome. I kind of liked that. Let's finish up the news here real quick. 2 MJF stories. So there you go. MJF getting married this past Friday to Alicia Atout, Mazel, mazel, good things. I do kind of admire MJF's need to always bury his girlfriend or whoever he's with in his promos in kayfabe without ever mentioning who it is. I find that somewhat endearing, but he has also booked a film role in Violent Night 2, the sequel to Violent Night 1, which starred David Harbour as Santa Claus. It was a fun little action comedy that came out a few years back. I'm going to be interested. I think he's just, henchman number 1 or something like that. But hey, get paid. Good for him. Any quick thoughts on that before we go into Lazy River?
Nah.
Okay. So it is time for Lazy River Wrestling Criticism, whatever we had time for, whatever we saw. And let's go with the log line that I used. Yes, on Friday's Chicago SmackDown, AJ Lee returned after a decade away from WWE. Did not cut a promo. She chose to do that on the following night's Raw. I will ask you what you felt about her return, Chris.
Well, I think it's landing with the audience. A lot of this, when increasingly, especially whenever an angle is not hitting for me, it ain't for me. The matrix that I look at this stuff through is, does this work for their people? And clearly, AJ Lee's return did work for WWE's people. It did work for the ratings. I think Seth and Becky absolutely need the right people in order for them to not be utterly tedious. And AJ Lee and CM Punk are people who can keep them out of that tedious zone that they routinely find themselves in. And I think it's so far been successful. I mean, question with AJ Lee to a certain extent never really been the personality. It's the work. And we will have to, I guess what remains to be seen if AJ and Punk can really carry matches beyond this initial feel-good return.
I'm going to push back slightly on you there. Because I think her personality is a lot of her. But it's also a double-edged sword in many ways, because boy, you talk about a couple that's kind of perfect in terms of demeanor. It's CM Punk and AJ Lee, because she has a snark factor in her where I mean, there was a clip going around when she was on her first run where she was on commentary. And she goes to the desk, and it's JBL, who had just buried her in the media for getting the date of her title win tattooed on the back of her neck.
That was such a trash ass move by JBL.
I agree.
Such a trash ass move.
And Jerry Lawler is also on the desk. And she puts JBL in his place by saying, "You know what? I did that because I love this business and I love doing what I do." And then Lawler is smarting off on her, and she looks at it and goes, "I think I'm a little bit too old for you, Jerry." And Jerry tries to come back later and call her ugly, and she's not having any of it. And just to finish,
privilege is really ahead. This is a good example, especially like in this company. Privilege is who can speak freely without expectation of reprisal or pushback, and who is all of a sudden creating umbrage when they are speaking their freeness.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where caustic AJ Lee, I think it's kind of like, look, the short, cute, I love her theme song. I do. It's fantastic, but it's one of those things.
That's a catchy one, ain't it?
Where it belies what she has inside of her, and she can destroy you with her words. But as far as the Raw promo, I thought it started rough. Look, Seth and Becky have the weird Groundlings theater kid put on a the weirdest wacky costume you can find in the costume.
Them is weird, right? Like they're doing something so kind of strong in terms of characterization that working against them in a scene, especially if you're like a normal person as a general character, is kind of strange.
Right. But I think it's one of those things where once Becky got locked in and stopped doing the Conor McGregor stuff and stopped doing, like, she has that habit when she's going to emote, she's going to do the what we call the Jeff Goldbluming. You know, she's wiping her brow, she's doing the thinking thing. She's really kind of over emoting how she's feeling. But once it got to, and also AJ Lee has a bit of an Ellen DeGeneres rambling problem, is what I like to call it. Like she'll do like asides and she'll move the mic away when she's doing it, so you can't really hear it. But of course, the sound mix was terrible on Monday for some reason. They're having some real issues on that. But once they got to the part where like CM Punk comes out and Seth is away and knows that, oh crap, we're in trouble kind of a thing, and Becky got the worried look on her face, I think they really stuck the landing on this segment. That's what helped get it over. And I really, it was for me the second best performance of the week in terms of quote unquote wrestling acting, because I really think JC Jane did a hell of a job on Tuesday night at the end, at least when the NXT homecoming people were coming out. But I really thought for a main event segment, in terms of that, I thought that was really, really strong stuff from them.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly. Okay. No, I don't have a lot more else to say. I mean, the other big thing on Raw here is the LA Knight Jey Uso stuff, and it's unclear to me who this is getting over at this point. These two guys budding.
I was gonna say it's adding difficulty for its own sake.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're going to have a heel main event Jey Uso and a babyface Jimmy when everybody.
But like, not even, I think the heel turn is a tease, right? Like, I think what they're trying to settle into is the will he or won't he thing. But the problem with the will he or won't he drama is like, I need to see the two, platonic lovers. I have to want them to end up together. And I don't care if LA Knight and the Usos work it out as buddies. This is not Sami Zayn and the Usos.
I don't either. And it's like LA
right? Knight, I don't care.
But LA Knight's also the guy. LA Knight is the guy who's correct in all of this, but he also seems like the biggest jerk in all of this. And that's a problem for me. I mean, Jey Uso's standoffishness is so contrived to me about this. And it's like,
that final beat on the show where he's right after he spears LA Knight, where the blocking is now like, Jimmy's got to be like, yo, hey, whoa, yo, hey, whoa, hey, whoa, what the hell, hey, non-committal, and Jay and Jimmy can't talk about it at all because that would move the scene too far along. So Jimmy's just got to keep being like, hey, what the hey, what the hey, what the Mamma Mia, geez Louise. Yeah, okay, buddy.
Do you watch the international version or the American version, or just the highlights?
No. So like, this is really great. I subscribe to the Gabagool Dubbing Network, and what has been happening here ever since I've signed up with Gabagool. Fantastic service, I might add. You need to pay simoleons, of course. But ever since I have signed up, now all of my shows are dubbed by a high-quality Italian-American background team of my peoples, and all the commentary team as well.
Well, I was asking because if you watch an international version, as I usually do, instead of commercials, you get promos from various people, and the promos are usually very interesting. But there was, I wasn't sure if this was on the actual Raw or not, but there was a joke that I actually really, really enjoyed, and I could see it coming a mile away, and it was still, it's the New Day, and they're out there with Vic Joseph, and Grayson Waller comes out, he's like, everybody, the New Day, blah, 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 blah. And then the New Day come out in their ridiculous gear. dressed in all black, of course. And Kofi Kingston says, "We are very sad right now for the state of the tag team titles," or I believe that's what it was, or I couldn't remember what they were sad about, but that's
what they did the funeral on.
Yeah, that's Morning Grayson over there. He looks at Xavier, who's wearing another ridiculous hat, and goes, that over there, that's Morning Woods. And I howled. I'm like, that's such an obvious double entendre, and I still fell for it, and I'm still laughing. And me, I'm Morning Kingston, and they're just going on in there. They're thank God for the New Day stuff. I think they're doing great work. It's just underappreciated because it's always hidden on these international commercial breaks with Vic Joseph and type of stuff like that. So I wanted to give a shout out to whoever wrote that one. That one popped me. It is your turn where you would like to go.
Well, I mean, we just did did we have yet another Dark State match on NXT this week? Is that
we did?
Yeah, we did. With Dark State and Hank and Tank met again.
Yes. And we had Joe Hendry show up again to make them lose this time.
I'm just looking at the results, and like this week's been a bit of a maelstrom. I was like, wait, didn't I see Dark State and Hank and Tank? It was that this week or last? It was both weeks. It was both weeks. Every week is the same Dark State and Hank the Tank match.
It's like the party matches in AEW to me all seem the same, even though they have different.
Right, they just absolutely blur into a miasma of meaningless wrestling for me.
Yeah, this time they Joe Hendry shows up and actually costs them the win, which makes me think, screw it, we should turn Joe Hendry heel and have Dark State be working for them, but that's not the issue. Because Dark State still, I mean, yeah, sure, they did a decent video package last week about them. You know, we did what we had to do, and now we're coming for the title, but it's far too late for me to be interested in them. That Joe Hendry ending last week was the peak, and we decided to run that joke into the ground, which was disappointing. I will give a shout out since we're still in NXT. Javon Evans. I don't know why Shawn Michaels continues to run him out to show these magnificent feats of athleticism and then to get beat. Shawn Michaels was pushed at age 19, 20, when he was Javon Evans' age. And I don't know if he's worried about too much too soon or overexposure or whatever, but the kid's special. That dude, I am all in on a Javon Evans Logan Paul match. I think that thing would be amazing, but I don't get running him out here. He had an awesome beginning of this match with Ethan Page, with Josh Briggs, and I'm just like watching. I'm going, we're gonna beat him again, and he's not gonna be as special. And he's
the other perplexing thing is the re-debut of Carmelo Hayes to me, which okay. Carmelo, yes, realigning Carmelo and Trick together, given where Trick currently is presentation-wise and where Melo is, which is ice cold, is such a clear and obvious mistake. Melo should have basically been out here to be the voice of reason to Trick Williams, like, yo, I think you've lost your head here. And then Trick rejects him. And Melo's like, you know what, dude? I'm the former champion of this promotion. I have stroke. I still have it. I am him. I will see you in the ring here next week or whatever the next PLE is. And we get Melo back, heated up as a top babyface in a world title division that sorely needs fresh, relevant baby faces who people actually give a shit about.
I did not like that segment at all because I could see the studio notes, as we call it, in the script, and everything in that thing was unearned. And DIY came off like absolute jerks when they're the baby faces. Mello does that.
Are they the baby? Like, haven't they been heels on SmackDown?
They were, but they became positional baby faces in a way because of the Wyatt Six, I think. And I was last time I saw them on SmackDown. I remember them cutting heel promos, but it's one of those weird things where I think maybe in NXT land, because they're legends now, they're baby faces. It's just
this heavyweight title scene could benefit so much by like Johnny and Mello in the world title hunt one more time, just for fresh matches with quality hands.
But we bring Mello out, and Mello does I'm on Trick side, and then he kind of goes over to DIY side and turns the Trick, which is appropriate because Trick's been burying him this entire time. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of the burial, because Tommaso Ciampa's egging it on, it's the most pro wrestling thing ever, where all of a sudden Mello will forget about how angry he is at Trick because someone's egging him on to be angry at Trick. And then all of a sudden he gets angry at Tommaso and teams with Trick. It's like, no, we can't have that. We need to find a way to make this an uneasy alliance between you two.
This go up like against how DIY. LA Knight is a jerk because he wouldn't get sandwiched with Jey Uso by the Avalanche from Bronson Reed.
Yes. Oh, that jerk! You want to take one for the team?
Yeah. Wait. I got hit with the Avalanche. It's not fair because we could have both been hit with it.
It's like what?
What?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because this actually brings me to an AEW point I want to go to. Story matches are fine. You don't always need story matches. AEW, occasionally you do need a story match because this.
Oh my God. I think we're about to say AEW is doing too many story matches. I'm like, what AEW have you been watching?
No, because this entire first match, and I'll admit, when you call him Helmet Guy, I always think you're talking about Hechicero for a moment before I remember you're talking about Josh Alexander. Let's talk basic storytelling here this is a gimmick. This is a gimmick I'm stealing from my show last night, of which I may have a little bit of heat about what I said last night. So we'll just go with it because I'm gonna lean into the controversy a bit.
Hey, so this is I welcome their hatred shirt on today.
so this is a grudge match first and foremost between Hangman Adam Page, Rage Monkey Hangman Adam Page, mind you, because he comes out so me angry, and the eighth most popular member of the Don Callis family, Josh Alexander. This is for the soul of Kenny Omega, which we never mention. We never hear Hangman go, I'm angry at you, Josh Alexander, because of the brain buster you put me through, because he put him through either a chair or a table. I can't remember what it is. So Hangman
What was
Adam
the
Page,
line that Danielson used at the end of the match where it was like, well, he won, but this doesn't bring back your friend, as though Kenny Omega is no longer with us.
Right. But yeah. But okay.
The dearly departed Kenny Omega.
Okay, so we get a video recap, which is a good thing, of the Don Callis family used Adam Page and gave him a brain buster through either a chair or a table. I can't remember. I even forget if this was Saturday or Wednesday because there's so much wrestling going on. But I think it was Wednesday.
Well, the injury angles don't really count for anything, so it's easy to understand.
But okay, but you're coming to a point I was about to come to where everybody's going, why are the ratings so low? It's because nothing matters when you do it, and people are ahead of you on the match. So Hangman's not nursing the neck. The Don Callis family, which is all in on Kyle Fletcher getting this title, doesn't cut this mustache twirling, hands rubbing, my family's gonna put you out of wrestling this year, like Ole Anderson to Dusty Rhodes in 1986 or whatever, and we're gonna go work on your neck. We're gonna work on that neck that's a little sore that we worked on last week, Adam Page. And now I have emotional resonance in this match. Now I have some stakes to watch. And instead, bell rings, lame hockey fight for 15 seconds. And then we get what Meltzer and Alvarez called, this was a good match. This was not the time for a good match. This was a time for heat.
Right, yeah, no, yeah. Alexander really demonstrated his tremendous command of technical wrestling for several minutes until Rocky Romero and Lance Archer and him, small, medium, and large, all duffed it.
Yes, and we weren't working on the neck as a story. Nobody ever told that story, even though there were a couple moves that might have implied that story. He wasn't working on the neck. We were just having a match. We're having a very good, technically sound wrestling match. Oh, I'm baffled by this because I'm like, I could actually be interested in this. Well, the Fletcher match is good on paper, but I don't care about
the question
that.
I'm always asking myself as I am watching it, like, usually I kind of like airdrop in, like after once on the entrances, because I don't really need to watch everyone walk out of a doorway anymore at this stage in my life. So, especially if I don't know the full context, the immediate question I launch off with is, why the hell is this match happening? And there are so many times where, because I'm not that online and I'm not that plugged in, I'm just living my own actual life now, I can't answer that. Like, I'm looking at Kid in the Helmet and Adam Page, and I'm like, wait, why is Kid in the Helmet actually having a match against Adam Page? And I kind of remember that Don Callis said something or other the week prior, but like, I don't care about Don Callis, and you can't get me to. It gets a guy.
Lamer though, Chris, because we've had now Rage Monkey, Hangman Adam Page. Me bad. I'm going around being crazy. But and this was a grudge match. Okay, so he's angry still, and he should be angry at Kyle Fletcher for delivering this brainbuster or whatever. And instead, what do we get? We get the "I respect you" Kyle Fletcher promo. Not the "I hate you" Kyle Fletcher.
I need the real Kyle Fletcher.
Yes.
Now, I had that moment where I screamed, "Oh no, GD, we're getting another one of these. I need the real crawl and scratch promo from AEW," because they don't know how to write anything else. They got a template. It's a Mad Libs, and they hand it to everybody and they go, here is the crawl and scratch promo. We need you to go out and do this one. I already filled in the top bubble for you, Adam. Don't worry. His name is Kyle Fletcher. So you just go out there and you walk and you work the sheet and tell us that we need the real Kyle Fletcher. Okay, you got this, bud?
Oh no, Chris, it's even worse than that, because they combined it with their other promo. The corporate politics corner office promo, where Kyle Fletcher wants the belt to carry the company. He doesn't want it for the money or the prestige. Someday you'll be able to carry this company on your back. I'm having this belt to carry the company, blah, blah, blah. He looks like $1 million in this suit, except for the stupid pants without the socks. And
no,
the shoes.
He doesn't. He looks like Don Callis' idiot son.
I never even put that 2 and 2 together, but you might be right. I might have to renege on that.
Well, you go back and you watch that. He looks like Don Callis' like idiot son who just showed up. Don Jr.
But here's idiot Adam Page, who's just been beaten up by the entire Callis family, going, as a man of your honor, I want you to leave the rest of the family in the back for our match. And Kyle Fletcher goes, okay, sir.
Right.
And then
I need the real Kyle Fletcher. The real Kyle Fletcher would leave the people in the back.
And not an hour later, we have that same thing with Ricochet and MVP and the Hurt Syndicate. It's like, did anybody talk about the show outline in pre-production? Because we have the same angle here. We have idiot baby faces going, okay, I think my athleticism will overcome 6 other people on the outside of the ring. And then it's like,
and then like the thing that drives me batty. And like, I'm just increasingly really, really profoundly at peace that the media, wrestling or otherwise, will just say things and I'll look at that and go, huh, that is so absolutely disconnected from my lived experience that it doesn't even make me angry. It actually leaves me flummoxed how we both experience the same thing. I am told, as I am watching a show that has ostensibly the same pairings or the same formatting, week after week after week, John Moxley and the Death Riders in a holding pattern. The Don Callis incestual family taking up the other half of this main event angle in a seemingly nebulous, like a floating pod of seaweed moving through the ocean with no direction, taking up large chunks of space, but seemingly without a brain. The Don Callis family is. I am told, as I open up commentary, it's another great week of AEW television. And I understand now that I don't have that lived experience. And it's not because I'm crazy. It's because I live somewhere else. And you know what's great about this place, Jeff? There's cats.
It's because you and I watch this as a television show that has professional wrestling on it. And we are not sitting there going, how many stars did you give that match, Chris? Did you give it 3.5 or 4? Did you give it 3.75 on Cage?
You know, it really is kind of like the bedrock premise. And I mean, it's wrestling, so the bar for this is much lower. But the bedrock premise has to be there for me to give a shit about the action scene.
Yeah, I mean, boy, I don't know which way to go next because I have two things that I kind of wanted to bring up in the same thing.
Yeah, no, hit me.
I'll ask you this. Okay, so we watched the $500,000 All-Star match, 8-man. We watched the end of it. Now, I have a theory, and somebody has disagreed with me on this, is that they completely retconned the angle, or they're going to do that next week with the Bucks and the money, because to me, I watched the post-match. They have the money. Brody King comes and hits one of the Bucks, and the camera and also the prop don't necessarily work together in tandem, but you think, because I've watched this angle in the 80s before where, it's $10,000 on the top of a ladder or whatever, and the heel wins. But the babyface always hits the heel. The money goes flying into the crowd. The crowd's very happy. That's what I thought happened at the end of this match. But I'm told, no. Even though I saw them throw one of the things, even though it didn't fly out, it was just like, we have a band on the money, and we just threw it. I am convinced they will not have the money next week, even though I don't care about this angle anymore. I really don't. I hate it.
Right?
It's breaking the fourth wall, and it kills me.
It is breaking the fourth wall, but more importantly, especially if you're going to go with a money angle on a wrestling show, dude, you've got to convince me that $500,000 means anything to any of these people. Because when John Moxley sits down at the cafeteria table, a scene shot as though it was a high school drama with all of the excellent acting of mid-level child theater actors done by the rest of the AEW talent. When he sits down and tells them, I am going to give you $500,000, it would be the equivalent of if, I don't know, back in 2016, we're at the Wrestlemania show or whatever, and Lance sits you and I down and offers us to buy us a nice dinner at a restaurant in Dallas if we do something for him. We're kind of like, oh, okay, that's interesting. $500,000, if you sell it as, oh, okay, $500,000, that means it doesn't really matter. $500,000 for an average human being. Right. That is literally my family. Right. Yeah, like You say $500,000 to a normie, that is their effing life. That is more. The average American without a college education only makes $1 million lifetime. $500,000 should be existential to these chumps. And if you're not selling that on TV, then what does it matter?
What
you
was
could have
sold?
Told me it's $80 dues.
What was sold less? The Bucks poo-pooing $500,000 by going, that sounds like it could take us out of poverty. Or Daniel Garcia's stone face that looked more bored heel turn.
Why, Danny? Why? I don't know.
Let me do this curb stop where both Moxley and Darby are yelling at me to do it again.
Poor
kid. I feel for him. But he got some bad studio notes.
No, I know, right? Like both Moxley and Darby are wrong. You don't do it a second time. Like you go into some secondary blocking where Darby's still trying to squirm and fight off or something.
And then you do something else
but
to him.
Yes, but you absolutely do not do it a second time. Nothing in wrestling screams, we missed a spot. I hope you noticed that we missed a spot by going out of your way to redo that same spot a second time.
Here's the secondary problem I had with this, Chris, and I think you will agree. One of the big knocks against one Daniel Garcia isn't his wrestling. It's that he had no personality. He's a Red Death, Daniel Garcia. Ooh, he's the stone-faced psychopath. So what do we do to help him with that? Well,
now he's got Wheeler Yuta and John Moxley to play off of.
Hold on. We need to get to this point because he wasn't allowed originally to go there because Bryan Danielson wanted him in the BCC, which I still think would have been a mistake either way. He wouldn't have been any better. But Jericho had him for his little crew, and we make him Dancing Daniel Garcia. And so for the heel turn, we're not addressing the issues that might make him a star with the personality because we think the wrestling will get him over. So what do we tell him? You need to be stone-faced and unremorseful. No. That's not what Daniel Garcia needs right now. He needs to be reveling in being a heel and excited for this new course in his life. And instead, it's show no emotion.
I'd even have him be a loose cannon. I would actually have had him gone to the point right out from the onset where Moxley at the end of that scene is going, this isn't Wheeler Yuta 2. Like, I would have had this set up thinking that, like, Moxley thinking that he was getting a second Wheeler Yuta out of this. And then all of a sudden, he's opened up this door in Garcia after, encouraging him, hey, join me, do this. All of a sudden, he opened up the door and it's like, oh, damn it. This guy's a loose cannon and the cannon could absolutely open fire on us. I think I might have made it. Yes, absolutely. Right. The guy would have been one. And it also is just an interesting new element to this group instead of another redundant piece like Marina Shafir.
No, or Wheeler Yuta. Oh, Wheeler Yuta looks like a sheepdog.
Or Claudio. They're all just going to come out there and be like, wow, 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 wow,
You gotta see this on video. If you're not seeing this on video, this is great. Chris is doing his Death Riders. Look, I have a Warhammer theme jacket.
Song. That theme song reminds me back when I was in college and some of my friends who were in metal bands, we'd all be getting together over the bong and they'd be like, hey, Chris, want to hear our most recent jam session from band practice? And I'd be like, not really, but we still have a decent chunk left on this blunt. So I guess that's what we're doing. And it would sound like that.
Okay. It's interesting what you focused on because I always focus on Because I always look at it goes.
At this point, I retreat to my past, Jeff. It's all I have.
No. I'm actually going to fold that in because I'm retreating to my past, and it's like possibly my old roommate at NYU film school, and he's looking at the building and going, "Huh, what could I do creatively with this entrance, with the lighting and whatnot, to show that the Death Riders are." So it's like, oh, I'm going to put a shadow on this wall, or I'm going to take the entrance to this building and put like siren lights around it and have them walk through that because this would be something French New Wave or whatever. And you're just like, dude, I just want them to be over.
It's symbolic, but symbolizing of nothing.
It's pretentious is what it is. And
right. When symbolism is not actually connected to any meaning, it's just pretension.
Yeah, it's like the first
Symbols
time
only work if they actually mean something.
The first time I read the Inglorious Bastards sketch, screenplay, I had an in because it was sneaking around before it leaked to the internet. Somebody sent me this and knew I was a big Tarantino fan. And there's the scene in the movie theater in the projection room or whatever, and the note from Tarantino is, this entire scene is shot in French New Wave, and I threw the script across the room because I went, F that. That's gonna be the most pretentious piece of crap I've ever, and he didn't do it luckily, but it's just like, yes, once you get those bad instincts, they just continue. Do you want to talk the Philly street fight? Because that's the only other thing I had in mind.
No, I don't have anything on that. But no, I'm right there with you, dude. I mean, from a music teacher standpoint, right? I'm not gonna get like super in the weeds. There's been this piece of music that's been making the rounds here over the last week, and it's a particularly bad interpretation of that original piece of music, and it just really gets into, if you have bad instincts aesthetically, and if you get trained to have bad instincts aesthetically, it is going to lead you astray time and time again, because you will have learned certain sensibilities as good, and then you will make very bad resultant choices thinking you're working out of a good sensibility.
This is going to be a bit of a tangent, but I know you've been on this a bit, and it was something that I was thinking about this week too, and I didn't talk to you about this before the show, but that national anthem on the Friday night game in Brazil for the NFL, my problem with it was the bass player, because he sounded like he was playing in a completely different key to me. I thought the saxophone guy was fine. I didn't like the bass player on that thing.
So the thing that was probably killing you, actually, I had, before the show here today, a lovely exchange with a fellow musician who I don't know on the internet, who saw my post about that national anthem rendition, and then slid in. It was like, respectfully, I literally actually said, respectfully, I disagree. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll flesh out my opinion here a little bit more. So I'll lay it out to you. Like, on the bass tone thing, and this is what I think I sold him on this too, as a bass player myself, right? I think the upright bass is very not conducive to a modulation sweep, whether we're talking flange, phase, or chorus, because all three of those modulations need mid-frequency information to work with in order to really make you feel the sweep. Harmonic tremolo is the same way. There's a crossover point in the mid frequencies. And so an upright bass, I know you know this, like sound wise, has a lot of percussiveness to it, right? Yeah. And it has low end, but it doesn't really have that mid focus thing. So I think that was part of the issue.
I thought it might be also like the humidity is taking it out of tune or something like that. I was like, no, then the other thing is here.
No, yes. The other problem here, right, is twofold. So he chose to revoice the opening chord from a major one chord, like the tonic major, to the relative minor. So his opening chord and what the chord progression keeps going back to is the relative minor instead of the major, which is just a really squirrely choice. And then the other thing that makes it really weird and hard to follow, and I can totally understand how, frankly, because it took me a few listens myself to hear this too, right? He's using these inversions to pass back to the one, and they're swirly inversions. And so when you couple that with the phaser, which is a bad aesthetic choice, and then like the combination of like revoicing the national anthem to a minor key, which I will admit is quirky and even slightly amusing, but definitely what I would teach. I said to the guy who messaged me, I'm like, look, if a student handed this into me, I would give them like a 95A, and then I would actually have some notes at the bottom explaining the missing 5% in detail here. Because it's not like the assignment wasn't done right. It's that so many aesthetic choices were wrong or inappropriate that it's summed together to be a very weird performance, and I think a very confusing performance for musicians and non-musicians.
I liked the sax, but I didn't like the bass. That's the weird thing for me. I mean, I thought the sax.
The other guy was like a better sound guy, and my point to this dude was, I don't know that a sound guy can put mids into that overall input signal, because you've got a phase sweep happening that's phasing mid frequencies that aren't really all that present in the first place.
Okay, I have no other.
I know that's really inside baseball.
No, you're good.
I thought you might be interested in that level of granular analysis on that one.
I am.
Yeah, because I got asked about it. I've thought about it. And I was actually explaining to someone earlier, but it's not that nothing was wrong. Like, they didn't hit any wrong notes. It's just that the overall jazz revoicing, and this happens a lot of times with jazz revoicings.
Yes.
You could do, and I said to the guy, you do something that's clever, but isn't pretty. And it's kind of like, like a cooking technique, right? You can do a really clever cooking technique. Like, you ever heard the one about how you can cook fish in your dishwasher?
Yes.
Clever, but it's not the best way to cook your fish.
No.
Right.
No, I can nerd out on jazz stuff all day long. I just
totally. But yeah, that would be my bet. It's fish in the dishwasher. It's clever, but that's not the best way to get there.
Shall we go to Vader Club?
Let's do it.
You want a party match, kids? When I think party match, I think, what are people that I will never think of teaming up together? And for me, and they made a little bit of sense, it's this 6-man team of Cold Scorpio and Dean Malenko who had a kind of a tangential relationship through the triple threat, and Cactus Jack, who was on loan from them from Raven, versus the Steiner brothers and Eddie Guerrero. Now, a little bit of background on this. All of these performers are ships passing in the night between organizations. Cold Scorpio and Cactus Jack are on their way to WWF. At this point, after this, Cactus Jack become Mankind, Cold Scorpio to do the Job Squad, or Flash Funk. He's going to be Flash Funk.
He's going to go in as Flash Funk. He's going to be kind of over. He's going to be kind of over as Flash Funk initially.
Yes, initially, and then everybody realizes, huh? And then he starts getting beat. That was just, he's wearing the ridiculous pimp suits and stuff like that, racially insensitive. Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero have been I believe they've been announced as coming to Nitro, and the Steiner brothers are also on their way to WCW as well after having their run in WWF. So, and this is of course pre-Big Pop, and then they'd break the Steiners up, and Scott would become Big Papa Pump in a couple years, and all these other things. But this was a match that happened. I got on a Cold Scorpio kick because I think that's a dude that doesn't get enough love, didn't get enough big runs because he liked to smoke the weed. He'd gain a little bit of weight. He'd piss people off. But boy, you watch him, and he's so graceful. The stuff he's doing with Eddie, the lucha stuff, is
and his size.
It's sexy. Yeah, and his size. The thing about his size is it doesn't affect the way he flows in the air. And it's a marvel to watch.
Yeah.
It really is. Dean and Eddie, of course, have great chemistry as well. I kind of laughed at the pre-match promo by Cactus Jack, basically calling Eddie Guerrero a midget. in less than certain terms, which would also be how he'd be buried in the other two companies he'd eventually go to. Yeah, the ending's a little bit messed up because Eddie Guerrero is supposed to do a hurricanrana to Dean Malenko off the shoulders of the Steiners, and he absolutely blows it. But they still just go with the pin. A lot of the Steiner brothers are actually kind of caring about the well-being of their opponents, which is always interesting at times. Because you never know. Like, you watch those early 90s Steiner brothers, and they're just throwing guys and not giving a crap. But I guess somebody must have punched somebody in the face while they were in WWF and said, hey, stop doing that. Because, and also their Taz is kind of managing him at this point. This is Broken Neck Taz. After his incident in the ring, I believe with either Benoit or Benoit broke Sabu's neck. I think Sabu actually broke Taz's neck or something. I don't remember.
What? I thought Taz broke his neck in a Douglas match. Am I wrong?
That might be it too. You might be right.
Yeah. I want to say it was a Shane Douglas match, but like I could be wrong.
This is the era of ECW with broken necks.
Look. Yes, Chris Pratt has a notorious 85% on facts on this show.
Yes, I was thinking about this old ECW arena stuff during the NXT or not NXT during the AEW show and going, "Where's Faith No More guy? Where's Hawaiian Shirt guy? Are they still around?"
I have questions that I want to ask the man with the sign that says Scorpio couldn't shine Simmons' shoes. Many questions. I want to understand much more.
Ron Simmons had been in ECW a few months earlier, and I believe had either teamed with Scorpio, but also fought Scorpio, etc. This is before he goes to become Farouk Assad, and they do the uncomfortable racial stuff with Sonny, and he's playing. Do you remember Farouk Assad, the gladiator? Gladiator was the modern day Gladiator, where he has the silver helmet and stuff. But no, they had also done like party matches. There'd be these weird combinations with like Ron Simmons, Cold Scorpio, and Dean Malenko or something like that versus Shane Douglas, Mr. Hughes, and somebody else. You know, you'd have these weird amalgam type things. But yeah, no, Ron Simmons had just done a stint in ECW as well. So I think maybe Scorpio had turned on Ron Simmons. My history's just a tad off, so if people correct me and say I'm an idiot, I didn't do the research for it. I'm apologizing. No. I'm sorry. I don't remember 30 years ago to the letter like I did when I was 30 years ago. But I don't know. This match was fun at times. It was a little bit of a sloppy mess at times too, but I think Joey Styles really brings a room together, to quote the Big Lebowski at times on commentary. Look, he does his little snarky jokes, but man, he is always into whatever is going on in this match.
I think the years of practice doing this in a basement by himself and thus having to create the energy and having a sense of pacing where he really needs to stay in the match to keep the energy right. There's certain things Joey Styles does do very well on the microphone. There's other things that are tropes, obviously, oh my God, and all of that stuff. But like, there's always, and it was like this for me when I was a kid too. There was a certain thing about Joey Styles I always really liked on commentary.
I would have liked AEW to have brought him back for the 2300 shows, but you know, that's one of those things where he got in trouble because at, I believe it was an Evolve event where they brought him in to do like ring announcing and commentary, and they said, don't make a Trump joke. And he made a Trump joke. And so they fired him. And he's happy being away from wrestling from what I hear. So that's fine. But again, on the 2300, look, they're doing ECW tribute shows for AEW. I would have liked maybe the not Miserlou, but whatever the surf song is from the Pulp Fiction style promos that they would do at the end where they had weird camera angles and, you know, they'd be, oh, here's a stairwell with a light bulb. Let's have New Jack and Mustafa from the Gangsters do something here for 30 seconds or whatever. You know, I would have liked a harder ECW tribute than Tony Storm dressing up as the Sandman and looking more like Jack Victory doing it and doing a sloppy match with Sky Blue.
I
But
right. I don't. Toni Storm in this phase of her career is as cold for me as she has ever been. The joke does not land. It's not even that it's worn thin. It's that it's dead. There is no there. I'm just stepping through the hole of the joke at this point. It's not wearing thin anymore. It's just a completely dead joke for me. And I watch her do this comedy. She stinks at comedy because all she has is vaginal humor. It is watching Toni Storm's comedy is like watching the reductive nature of Toni Storm's comedy is kind of like, I don't know, Can I Kill Tony segment where he's just making fun of the current comedian's weird accent or hair or something like that. There's just this, there's no depth to it. There's no staying power to it. It's not that it even necessarily makes me angry. I don't like it, but the overwhelming emotion that I have as I leave watching this Toni Storm Sky Blue thing is boredom. I find her comedy boring. I find her jokes tedious.
I'm the same way in a different way. For me, it's like back in my open mic days. You'd go and you'd watch, and there's the comedian who's like in his late 50s or 60s still doing open mics, and they're doing stuff that they think is edgy, but it's just gross, like cigar in the vagina type jokes and things like that in the Clinton era, so to speak.
I was watching a thing. Actually, the thing I was thinking of is specifically Rob Schneider, who is now perfectly in the category you're speaking of, just desperately trying to hang on with edgy jokes, you know?
Yeah.
Can we pause for 1 second here? This is New Mexico Orthopedics.
It's going to do it for Shake Them Ropes. You can follow the show. You can follow the show at Shake Them Ropes, all one word. Patreon.com/Shake Them Ropes for Chris's high wattage. I don't know if another episode is coming my way, but it's possible. Only costs $1 if you want to listen to them. And you have all the episodes that we did before that are, we let it go to rot. You can follow me on X at CrepGame13. I also do the Dynamite Show on the Fight Game Media Network, 20 minutes after Dynamite goes off the air. Paul Fontaine and I go live. Drops in your podcatchers for free the next day. Chris is going to give his plugs now before he kills somebody. I say that. Yeah, I know the timing of that is bad, but Chris just had a rather bad phone call.
Yeah,
so I'm just going to go with someone.
I want to make it clear. This is about nothing to do with politics. This has everything to do with me getting yoinked around by everyone who claims to be a medical professional in the broader continent of North America.
Hold on, before you give your plugs, my fault. Okay, totally my fault. I apologize.
No, you're fine. You're fine, bud. You're fine. But just remember, Jeffrey, words have consequences. All right. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I could absolutely use guitar lessons, not myself. I no point in me learning how to play anymore. But if you want to learn how to play from someone who once could, who knows if he ever will again, please message me on Instagram, DOCTOR_NOV. As for right now, I'm going to go and figure out what to do with the rest of my fucking life. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.